All right, hello friends, welcome back to the Cozy Representative. Before we get into today's video, I wanted to give you a little update on what's going on with me and this channel in general. If you don't care about that, you just want to get straight to the metro station, you can click ahead to this timestamp right here. But for the rest of you, hello, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to say apologies for the wait on the part 2 installment of this Metro Station series, and also for generally being a little bit less active on YouTube this year. I did post a little update on my Instagram, which is instagram.com/thecozyrepresentative. If you want more, I don't know, life updates from me, at this point I tend to not really like posting like personal updates here on YouTube, but on Instagram I post a lot more personal stuff, but I post a little update there. Basically this year, I do just generally have more going on in my personal life. I've been working on myself. You know what I'm saying, touching grass and all that. It's been great. But the unfortunate part is I've had a little bit less time to commit to making videos. The other kind of aspect of it is, I think last year, 2022, I started dealing with a bit of burnout from doing this channel. I've been doing this channel for over 4 years now. It'll be 5 years in January, I believe. So that's a long it's kind of a while, and the first 2 or 3 years of it I was really grinding and really going hard, making videos. I never took any real breaks or anything. I was just constantly just trying to make this channel happen or whatever. And yeah, last year I started getting pretty burnt out and pretty just kind of, I don't know, this year I've needed some time to take a step back a little bit, breathe, focus on my personal life more, and just have some time to recalibrate and, can think about what I'm doing, what my goals are, where I want to go from here, and all that. And fortunately, as of right now, I do feel very rejuvenated, and I'm starting to get stoked on YouTube again, which I've never totally not been stoked on YouTube, but from getting pretty burnt out last year, I kind of for a while had this love-hate relationship with, I don't know, the YouTube game. Not with any of you or this channel or anything, but I don't know, I was just burnt out and kind of uninspired, I guess. But I'm feeling a lot better now, and I thank you all for your patience and for sticking with me. For those of you who have found me recently or have been with me for years now, thank you. I do appreciate it. And yeah, I'm basically I'm feeling good again, and I'm ready to kind of start getting back in the game more. I have a lot of ideas for future videos and different types of videos, different types of artists I want to cover that have nothing to do with sort of emo and everything I've done before, but also not completely straying away from my roots as well. A little bit of everything, more different stuff. I don't know. I think it'll be cool moving forward. I'm excited. So yeah, that being said, we got Metro Station Part 2 for you today. Thank you for your patience. This video was actually originally going to be just a really long video that was going to be the end of the story. And I pretty much have the whole thing done on my computer, but it's just way too fucking long, so I decided to split it in 2 parts. So now we got a part 2 right here, and a part 3 coming, believe it or not, because I just split it in half. And the part 3 is actually pretty much completely done. I know I always say, oh, this thing is coming at this time, and then I disappear forever. That's not gonna happen. This upcoming Friday, August 25th, I'm looking at the calendar on my phone, August 25th, this upcoming Friday, the part 3 of the Metro Station story will be uploaded, and then it'll be freaking onwards and upwards from there. So thank you guys for sticking with me. I hope you enjoy the video. And just to knock it out of the way now, a big thank you to all these people who support me over on Patreon. If you want to help this channel out, it really means a lot, and a little goes a long way. There's a link in the description. You can go to patreon.com/thecozyrepresentative. I do a little Patreon exclusive series there called Cozy's Basement. The $5 tier gets you 2 episodes of that a month. The $10 tier, you get an extra third episode of that a month. Yeah, thank you so much to these people for supporting me on there. It really does help out a lot. And thank the rest of you, anyone who, you know, like I said, has been watching this channel for a while, is just tuning in, is supportive, is a hater. All of you guys, sincerely, thank you so much for sticking with me. And hopefully the best is yet to come. I'm hoping. That's my mentality. So thank you guys. Onwards with Metro Station Part 2. I love you. Let's go. All right. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Cozy Representative. You know what it is. You know what's going on right now. It's me, back up in your space. How are you? Hope you guys are doing well. So just before we get into what we're talking about today, to quickly sum up what happened in the Part 1 to bring us all up to speed. The Metro Station story began in Hollywood, California, Burbank, I believe. Shout out Frankie Circa. In about 2006, when the hit children's TV show Hannah Montana debuted on the Disney Channel. You get the best of both worlds. Which I want to say is a unique thing about Metro Station. To my knowledge, they are the only rock band to have where their story begins with the statement, when the hit children's TV show Hannah Montana debuted on the Disney Channel. So that's kind of funny. Anyways, yeah, the show was starring Billy Ray Cyrus's daughter Miley as the lead role. She was Hannah Montana. It was co-starring a kid named Mitchell Musso. This might get confusing, Miley's brother Trace and Mitchell's brother Mason met on the set of the show. They had a similar taste in music and were both aspiring musicians themselves. Trace heard some demos that Mason was making and was like, you know, they were just into each other, and they came together and decided to team up and start the dancey synth pop group called Metro Station. They added a guy named Blake Healy on the synth and the keyboards and the whatnot, as well as a drummer named Anthony Improgo. Their earliest songs appeared on their debut EP, the lo-fi, authentically old-school MySpace sounding released for fans of Old A Rocket to the Moon and Never Shout Never, or whatever, release called The Questions We Ask at Night EP. I can drive and you can sleep while the radio collides to the sound of our heartbeats. This EP featured future... I'm going through this quickly because this is a recap. This EP featured future hit songs like 17 Forever, which subsequently began absolutely blowing up on MySpace and on the internet while the band was unsigned, and they were like 18. In 2007, the band got signed by major label Columbia Records, who released their debut self-titled record, Metro Station, in that year. This album was a little bit of a slow burn at first. The band was opening up for bigger scene bands like We the Kings and Forever the Sickest Kids until 2008 rolled around, spring and summer of '08, when their song off of their record, the song called Shake It, blew the fuck up and became a smash mainstream hit single, and now Metro Station were huge and in the building as far as the mainstream pop world was concerned. What was, at first, a truly everything is going right, feel-good story of the year, picture-perfect scenario for a new band trying to make their thing happen, everything started to unravel in late 2009, and that's where I left things off in the last video, while the band was on this giant arena tour opening for Trace's sister, Miley Cyrus. Ever heard of her? Synth master Blake Healy left the band, and as soon as the tour was done, drummer Anthony Improgo also left the band. sparking rumors of internal conflict between members, which I'm willing to bet it was the case. As I was saying too, just from my own personal perception of watching interviews with them from before Shake It blew up versus interviews with them from after, there was a vibe change with Trace and Mason. They kind of went from being these young, starry-eyed, innocent, woo, raw XD, you know, ha ha ha, silly, like Nickelodeon humor little kids, to being these, like, kind of, you know, stoic, tough guys. they kind of seemed a little douchier, just to be, you know, just to say it straight. And that's just my own perception, but I think, you know, I think the fame kind of went to their heads, and everyone else left, and then, you know, things got kind of fucked. Trace and Mason apparently were trying to start work on a second Metro Station record in early 2010, but around March of 2010, Trace announced that he was peacing out, and Metro Station in its original form would forever be no longer. It would be cast aside, well, not cast aside, but forever in memoriam as a true relic of its time, the OG Metro Station. And my friends, this was obviously not the end of Trace's story or Mason's story, and believe it or not, it wasn't the end of the Metro Station story either. So today, hello, my name is the Cozy Representative. Welcome back for another round of this, and we're going to get into everything else that happened to Metro Station. Part 2. Here we are. Let's go. Directly following the split of OG Metro Station, Trace and Mason both went off and did their own separate projects. They were like, I'm gonna fucking do this shit on my own, because I got it like that. So first we're gonna look at Trace's journey, see what he was up to, and then we're gonna look at Mason's. Maybe compare the two a little bit. So, Trace Cyrus. I'm going to try to keep this blunt and honest and keep it real with you guys. Trace Cyrus embarked on probably unintentionally the funniest music project that I may have ever heard of. It's up there in like the top 5 just goofiest shit ever as far as music projects go. It was called Ashland High.
I won't stop till this girl makes it pop, and I'm never gonna let her get away. We met last July, can't remember the night, a couple bars deep, then we fell asleep.
Are you familiar with them? Unless you're deep in Metro Station lore, probably not. So, it's early 2010. Trace Cyrus is 21 years old at this point. Fresh out of Metro Station, fresh out of scoring a big mainstream radio hit. We're at the tail end of the MySpace era at this point, and, you know, Trace, he's geeked up, he's tatted, he's fucking drinking, he's smoking, he's kind of looking like the hipster version of, like, Ollie Sykes or something. Or with all his tattoos and shit, he kind of looked, you know, and just his build, almost like a white Wiz Khalifa vibe we're going for here. Either way, I think he looked pretty cool. That's me being for real and genuine. He looked like a cool motherfucker. I wish I looked like that. In the prime of his life, really. You know, he's got the world by the balls. He's got his whole life ahead of him. He's, you know, big hit on his hands. He's basically got all the blind, dumb confidence that a young man could have. And that being said, in this time, he announces a new music project, a new solo project of his called Ashland High. Now, Trace Cyrus was born in a town called Ashland, Kentucky, so I'm guessing it was a reference to the high school there in his hometown, but he also spelled high, the word high, in all capitals, so I'm guessing it's also a reference to marijuana, which I have reason to believe that Trace Cyrus was smoking quite a bit of during this time. And he decided straight up, he was like, I'm going to be a pop star. I'm going to be a pop star, right? I'm going to make pop music. It's going to be massive. I'm going to be an icon. I'm not even being sarcastic when I say that that's what Trace was like thinking at the time. I'm not just like, oh, he was actually going around saying shit like that, like in interviews.
What was the influence for doing pop? Man, I like to shock people, man. That's the thing. I feel like the best things in this world is like, you know, just the shock value of things. Like, that's why I love people like Lady Gaga, man. It's like, I was playing shows with Lady Gaga before she blew up, and I saw how weird she was, and I knew immediately, you know, before she was anywhere, I was like, she's gonna blow up because the world loves unique things and, you know, interesting people. And the thing is, it's hard for an artist like me or Gaga to break initially, but once I do get in the world, yeah, it's the thing is, when someone sees me at a show and I walk away, they're gonna remember what I look like forever. You know, they could pass me 10 years from now and they're gonna be like, that's Trey Cyrus. So that'll help me in the long run, but it's definitely hard for me breaking into this pop world. But I think once I break through the surface, it's gonna be like easy riding, so we're gonna be good.
Does it worry you at all?
It does worry me at times, but the thing is, with everything in my life, I've always been like the black sheep of my family. I feel like I've kind of got the short end of the stick, man. I've lost some friends over the years, so it's like I've been through the tough times. So for me to break into the pop world, it's like I had a great song with Shake It, you know, 4 million singles sold. So I've been in the pop world, but still, the thing with Shake It and Metro Station, a lot of people know that song, but you know, unless you really were a fan, you didn't know exactly what I looked like. Because if you just heard the song on the radio, you would just think like, oh, this is some pop band. You wouldn't think it's a guy covered in tattoos doing it. So now it's like I'm trying to come out as an icon like, you know, Justin Bieber or something. It's crazy to compare me to something like that, but I'm trying to do it on a big level. It's like, you know, a lot of people worry about selling out or something like that. And, you know, people want to play small clubs like this forever. And it's cool playing at places like Chain Reaction, but I don't want to lie. I want my music to be heard by as many people as possible. So the goal's arenas, the goal's selling out as many shows and just touring the world nonstop. So that's what I'm trying to achieve.
Have you ever met somebody like that? Like you work a job with somebody or one of your friends or something has this just kind of delusional. I mean, look, shoot for the stars, right? Like, I'm all for dreaming big and trying to make your thing happen, but if you walk into a situation, especially you know, something like a creative endeavor, like a band or some sort of thing where you're making art, if you walk into that with the initial intention of becoming an icon, I think you're already kind of shooting yourself in the foot right there. And it sounds ridiculous to other people. Dream big, but let's have some humility here, okay? Let's have some like grasp on reality. Because icons don't go around talking like I'm an icon. You know what I mean? Anyways, so about a year or so after the demise of Metro Station, Trey Cyrus released the debut Ashland High release. It was a mixtape, actually, a free online mixtape by the name of Don't You Ever Leave My Side. Now, I actually really like the aesthetic of this cover here. We got the like classic, you know, kind of like Panic at the Disco Victorian font, which I love. Trace has his long hair. He's looking cool as fuck. Like, I like the art direction here. Aesthetically, I really like what he was going for. A lot of websites say that this release came out in 2010, but I did find an old tweet from Trey Cyrus from January of 2011 where he says, the mixtape is coming out this Wednesday. So as far as a release for this, let's say late 2010, early 2011, this came out somewhere around there.
So much ice, diamond shining in the rain. She's so blessed, but she's going insane. Always spending money, but all she has is fame. They always scream her name.
So, oh, guys. All right. Remember how when I was saying in the last video that Trey Cyrus was objectively the least musically talented member of of Metro Station? Can you see where I'm going with this? You know, in Metro Station, he had Blake Healy and Mason to craft those pop hits. He had Mason to sing really good. You know, and Anthony and Progo to lay down the tight drumming, and, you know, he had all the freedom to just kind of just jump around and, ladies, you know, be the hype man, right? And he could just do that and get away with it and look cool and, I don't know, I guess be an icon, like he was saying. He was already used to it. He was already used to being the icon. Anyways, this mixtape, Trey Cyrus's first solo effort, Don't You Ever Leave My Side by Ashland High, is probably like my favorite thing that Trace Cyrus has ever done, and not because the music is really good. You know, Trace didn't work on his singing voice or try really hard to craft his songwriting for this thing. I can just tell by listening to it. But it is one of my it is probably my favorite Trace Cyrus artifact. Not because the music is really good, but because this thing it's fucking hysterical. It's like really funny.
Let's dance, dance, dance the night away. Let's dance, dance, dance the night away. You're shining brighter than those Hollywood stars. She moved to the city, says she's gonna go far. She's a Hollywood, she's a Hollywood girl. She's a Hollywood girl.
It's like avant-garde performance art. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Trace Cyrus was genuine on this thing, but it's the kind of thing where I hear it and you're like, is this guy for real right now? Like, is this actually the songs that it's got to be like performance art? It's got to be someone like, you know, it's got to be some 4D chess kind of avant-garde ironic statement kind of thing. Nope, this is just what was coming out of Trace. Look, guys, I don't want this to turn into just a Trace Cyrus you know, punching bag session, a Trace Cyrus roast. You know, I could sit here and try to think of all types of funny things to say about the music on this thing and tell you about how all the reasons why it's not great. But I mean, I can let the music speak for itself on this one, I think, right? This stuff is just, it's not good. It's not good. He's not good at writing songs. He's not good at singing. He's just not. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to, I want to love Trace Cyrus. I want to love Ashland High, but this shit, it's like, it's a step above Blood on the Dance Floor quality, you know? It's like, is this joke music? I'm so sorry, Trace. I'm so sorry, bro. I know you were trying hard, but you kind of just weren't trying hard enough. And this shit just wasn't very good. And I'm sorry, but it's funny. And I love listening to this as like a joke. You know what I mean? I love listening to this as like a wow kind of thing. It's one of my favorite Trace Cyrus releases, but for all the wrong reasons. For none of the reasons Trace would have intended it for it to be my favorite. It's just so gosh darn funny. Anyways.
Have a drink, have some whiskey, have another glass. Have a taste, you're a snake, the finest girl in class. Binge drinking, wine and women. Whiskey bottles, southern comfort, keep drinking. Got a gun in her hand, and she's biting her lip.
Trace Cyrus's lyrics are so funny to me too. Like, this dude, even to this day, is incapable of writing any lyrics that aren't about LA nightlife and going out to the clubs in Hollywood. And, oh, I met this girl and she's, you know, she's scandalous. She's got some bad intentions and she's drinking by the bar and you know, like, that's this dude's whole world. He's incapable of thinking of anything else besides the dark sides of LA nightlife. That's all Trace Cyrus has to say. Anyway, so the real kicker of Ashland High comes about a year and a half later in 2012 or so. So Trace actually went quiet for a bit, for maybe about a year after the release of this funny debut Ashland High release. But he comes back in 2012 with a new look and a new outlook on life, apparently, and new updated music from Ashland High. Great, more Ashland High, just what we need. Believe it or not, though, I'm going to give Trace some credit right now and some positivity. Based on interviews alone during this time, this actually seems like a really healthy and promising time for Trace. First of all, he just looked way better. You know, his eyes were clearer, his skin looked better. He just looked a lot healthier than he did previously. He did come forward in these interviews and, talked about how there was a lot of over-the-top partying going on when he was in Metro Station and also after he had just left Metro Station, which, was negative in his life. He talked about how he had turned things around for himself and he was back at it with a new outlook, which, as much, as I have the snark on with Trace's music, as far as this period and him, apparently doing better and not partying anymore and sobriety, like, seriously, genuinely, like, hats off to you, Trace. That's fucking awesome. I love, seeing anybody bettering themselves in that way and getting into a healthier mindset and a healthier place and looking better. Props to anybody who, is going through problems like that and, because, coming out on the other end of something like that is not something to take lightly. So good for you, Trace. Seriously, that's fucking awesome.
Dude, I basically after Metro Station, I haven't been talking about this too much because it took me a while to really clean up my act, man. After Metro Station broke up, with Metro Station, I was pretty much, I mean, I've always like had my stuff together, last tour I did with my sister. So, I'm mature and I know how to act around the situations, but after Metro Station fell apart, I was just depressed, sad. Dude, just found myself like drinking and like getting high all the time. Like that's what I love to do, man. And hell, I'm not gonna lie, I would still love to do that, but it's like what I realize what's important to me, and what's important to me is my fans, my career, and my fiance. It's like all that party stuff. It's like that was cool, and don't get me wrong, it's fun, but there's no like longevity and pleasure with that. Like it's for the time, and then like the next day if you're sober or something, then you're miserable. So it's like now I just want to be happy and make music, because music's the one thing that makes me happier than anything. I don't care if I'm completely wasted or high or out of my mind. It's like when I record a song and I leave with that CD and play it, or if I leave the stage, it's like it gives me a high that I've never felt before. So that's been the past 2 years. I went on a downhill spiral, and then honestly, like probably towards the end of this last year, man, I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna kick all these stupid bad habits, man. I've like just quit, man, drugs, drinking, like tobacco, like just really, really trying to like just live right, man.
But he was still delusionally goofy, though. Nixing the drugs and the alcohol from the situation did not really seem to make this guy any more like... He was a little bit closer to planet Earth, but not by much.
But I'm basically just looking to tour with, starting off the bands that I toured with at Metro Station, because that's where I left off. I feel like I should go back to my roots, I would love to tour with like Good Charlotte, Boys Like Girls, The Maine, just those, those bands that were actually my friends and that, they were homies back in the day. I haven't seen them in a while, so I hope to do that. And then I hope artists like Katy Perry, Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, the real pop artists,
He released 2 more Ashland High mixtapes in 2012, 2013. One called Geronimo and another called Drugstore Cowboy. And it's more of, it's more Ashland High. It's a little bit more updated to fit with the times than the first release. This was 2012, so this was kind of the height of like dubstep was going on and like rave culture and all that, and Trace was kind of trying to make that his thing now on these songs, but it's still just, it's not it, guys. It's just not the vibe. Who is this for? This is not for anybody. In some ways, when it comes to Trace during this time, I do feel maybe kind of bad for him in a way. Like, I was thinking about this and I was like, well, he's a Cyrus, his dad's Billy Ray and his sister's Miley, and, now he's got another superstar sister, Noah, and I'm sure there are other Cyruses that I'm not tuned in enough to the Cyrus family to, but I'm sure there might be low-key some pressure for him deep down to like, make it as a superstar and be like his family members, you know what I mean? I'm sure he doesn't want to be the one Cyrus who didn't make it, you know what I mean? I'm sure that must be maybe a difficult thing for him to wrestle with internally or be somewhat of an insecurity for him. But on the other side, it's like, oh, boo-hoo, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, well, you know, come on. Anyways, you guys know what I'm saying. Like, talk about a beyond first world problem to have. But either way, I think that the failure of Ashland High, because yes, just to reiterate and make it very clear, that he did not become a superstar, pop star icon doing this project. The music did not pop off. It did not blow up. It didn't make any waves. And I think that the failure of Ashland High does provide a pretty good perspective that just because you come from a famous family and that you have a certain privilege, you're still not going to get anywhere if you don't have any fucking talent. You know what I mean? And people aren't dumb. Audiences aren't dumb. You can't like finagle your way into being big and famous without like you know, doing the work to try to really master your craft. You can't just be this guy with tattoos who thinks he's an icon. You know, that can't just be the be-all, end-all. Trace did do a little bit of touring for Ashland High, the first tour being in the spring of 2012, opening up for the Ready Set and Breathe Carolina, with Romance on a Rocket Ship also on the bill. Pretty cool. In the fall of 2012, Trace and Ashland High went out with Forever the Sickest Kids and Paradise Fears on the humorously titled One Direction tour. So obviously he was trying to get back in the scene that he was already in. He was like Metro Station toured with fucking Forever the Sickest Kids, and you know, look where that got us. Ashland High is probably gonna, you know, this is a great launching point for Ashland High too. No, it wasn't. It didn't work out. The final Ashland High tour was in spring of 2013, opening up for none other than the Millionaires, and that was it for Ashland High. And funny enough, you know, it's like, I wonder what Trey Cyrus thinks about Ashland High now. Well, it seems like he's tried his best to scrub most of this stuff off the internet because it's not on streaming services. It looks like he's tried to delete. I remember this era. I remember Ashland High, and I remember there was a bunch of music videos that he made that just are gone now from the internet. So I think he might be. You know, no Ashland High 10-year anniversary nostalgia tour, I'm guessing, will be happening. Huge bummer, but we live to make it through another day. Ashland High or no Ashland High. So, while Trace was making legendary musical magic and coming to his own as a alternative pop rock superstar icon, in Ashland High in 2013, Mason Musso took a different path. Now, remember what I was saying in the part 1 about Metro Station being full of goofy, Dewey Cox Walk Hard-esque rock and roll tropes and stereotypes? Well, here comes another one. Mason Musso committed what is often considered a cardinal sin in the category of rock and roll credibility and integrity, and he commandeered the rights to the Metro Station name, and he brought Metro Station back, but now it was basically just his solo project under the name Metro Station, obviously not including his former partner in crime and the former face of the band, Trey Cyrus. In his credit and defense, though, he did bring back former drummer Anthony Improgo. While former keyboardist Blake Healy wasn't officially back in the lineup, he did help Mason put together some of the new Metro Station material in the studio. So there's a little bit of some old guys coming back, but come on, Mason, what are you doing here? I don't like when people do this. Lay it to rest, bro. Come on.
I mean, Metro Station is your band.
That's right.
And is it just you now?
Yeah, I mean, I brought in a few new players.
Okay.
And I still work with Blake Keeley, the original keyboardist, and Anthony Improgo, the original drummer. We still jam out a lot.
Okay, so you literally, I mean, so it's not the original Metro Station that everybody, you know, knew before. It's not the Shake It Metro Station, right? Or is it?
Well, I mean, you know, it's definitely evolving. When I wrote Shake It, I was 17 years old, so I've definitely I've definitely grown up since then, so it's definitely a mature sound. So yeah, it's different. It's my baby, and when you're passionate about something like that and you create it from the ground up, you're not gonna let anybody take that away from you.
Y'all were a team. You can't just fucking, I'm Metro Station. No, motherfucker. You're part of Metro Station, but fuck out of here with that. Anyways, the Mason Musso solo era of Metro Station released one EP in 2013, which is called Middle of the Night. And believe it or not, y'all, if you're into fun, sleek, accessible party pop music, which I very much am, this EP is actually, believe it or not, it's really good, I think. I totally recommend it, actually. I'm a fan of this one. I particularly like the song Barcelona on it. I think that's got just like a perfect chorus going on. See, compared to Ashland High, it's like if you're good at what you do and you spend time working on it, you'll put out a pretty decent product, and there's not much more to say about it than, oh yeah, it's pretty good. You know what I mean? Mason did do some live shows and some radio interviews alongside the release of this EP, but much like his former partner in crime, Trace, although Mason's music was way better than Trace's, Mason's iteration of Metro Station did not take off. It did not catch on. It wasn't very well promoted. It didn't make much of a splash at all.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I know that one of your former band members, he was very much, I'll say to me, like the face of Metro Station. Well, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Do you ever, when you were going through this process, were you like, wait a second, were you nervous that maybe people wouldn't want to see Metro Station without a certain member?
No, because it's music. It's not about the face. It's about music. And for me, I wouldn't do it if it was about anything else.
Cool. I respect that. I just was curious.
No, of course. Hey, this is y'all's show. You can ask me anything.
It's almost like, get this, guys. Check this out. I think I cracked the equation here. It's almost like Trace has the star power that Mason needs. And Mason has the songwriting talent and general musical ability that Trace needs. It's almost like they need each other. You see, they're two peas in a pod, two pieces of a much bigger puzzle. Yeah, one has what the other lacks, and I think that that's what we've learned here from these two different solo projects. Anyways, before we move on to the next chapter of the video, a couple things. One, the interviews from this era of both Mason's Metro Station and Ashland High are absolutely hysterical, easily the most entertaining interviews from any era of Metro Station, and they also tell a lot, too, about what happened to Metro Station. You get a pretty good idea of what went down. They're still both pretty cryptic and vague about it, but like you can kind of put two and two together. Well, for starters, on the hilarity side of things, both of these dudes were separately each respectively claiming that each of them individually started Metro Station.
I mean,
from you.
I started the band when I was 17.
Yeah.
Got the players together.
What are your thoughts on Mason Musso continuing on with Metro Station?
Man, I don't think about it, man. I know I was the one that started that band. I was the one that, I worked hard to build up that name, and forever, when people think of Metro Station, they're going to think of me, and that's nothing that nobody can change, I was a big key member of Metro Station, and no matter what anyone does with the name afterwards, people, the original fans are always going to know the truth, and that's all I care about, man. And I always say good music speaks for itself, and whether I'm to me, it's just a band name, man. Whether I'm in Metro Station, Ashland High, whether I, made up some random name tonight and changed the name, it's like, I'm going to write good songs, so no matter what group I'm in, I'm going to have success. That's how I look at it.
And, on the more putting two and two together side of things, obviously in these interviews, the inevitable question of what happened to Metro Station, why did Metro Station end, did come up. As far as Trace's side of things and what he was willing to share, he chalks up the ending of Metro Station to basically internal conflict between himself and Mason.
I made a lot of mistakes with Metro Station. I was a kid. I was 18 when I got my record deal, and so basically all my mistakes I did there, I'm just kind of trying to correct this time around. But yeah, I would definitely say traveling was the highlight for me. I loved it, man. Just seeing fans all around the world.
Then why did you exit Metro Station?
Man, Metro Station, it was a great point in my life, man. The best starting point for my career. But basically, we lost a couple members, and unfortunately, it was down to me and just another singer in the band. And when you have two guys, it's a lot of butting heads, and unfortunately, things didn't work out. But I don't know, those guys still. I appreciate that time. It was the most important time I think of my life. It was my transition from literally a child to an adult, you know. So what we got ourselves into, I don't think we expected it to be as big as it was, but it showed me potentially like what I could do the rest of my life. And I feel like God just put that as a starting point to kind of push me into the music world. So everything happens for a reason.
From Mason's point of view, he was a little bit more cryptic about things, but from what he was a little bit more cryptic, but also somehow a little bit more direct too. And from what I'm able to decipher, he kind of chalked it up to one thing: ego.
But after a while, ego kind of gets in the way.
Yeah.
My first manager always said, what will break up a band? Women, drugs, and ego. And let's just say one of those had to play a part in that whole thing.
Yeah.
But the great thing is, I'm still doing it. I been Metro Station from the beginning, so
See, I
rocking
think
it.
that's such loyalty to me, because you went to court and you fought for the brand and you fought for the name.
I'm not really able to talk about it,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I'm going based on the internet.
I won. So
Yeah.
yes.
Woohoo!
I mean, that's awesome.
Thank you.
I mean, him and Trace were the last two members in the band, and they couldn't even hang with each other. I mean, Trace looked like a major egomaniac in 2009, right? I mean, look at this fucking guy. It looks like there's no reasoning with this guy. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that I think they both probably had big egos around. I think they were both dealing with ego problems, and their egos clashed. When you have two people with big egos, they're gonna clash in a musical setting. You're not going to get anywhere with that. And going back to rock and roll tropes and cliches, Trace and Mason around 2013, 2014 realized, you know what, brother? Let's put they got together and they said, you know what, bro? Let's put the past behind us. We both still want the same thing. Let's bring ourselves down to earth a little bit. Put the past behind us. Let's get the band back together. Boom. That leads us into the next chapter of the video, Metro Station 2.0. It's reunion time, baby. Hey, it's me again. Wasn't that fun? I hope you enjoyed the video. Yes, that's right. In the part 3, we will be exploring what I just gave away at the end of this video, the Metro Station 2.0 reunion. It's very interesting, very bizarre, much like their solo projects. Like I said in the intro, this upcoming Friday, let me check my phone for the date again. Yes, the 25th, August 25th, the part 3 will be uploaded onto this channel. So get ready. And yeah. Like I said in the intro, apologies for the wait for this one. We're getting back on the horse over here. Cozy Representative 2023, 2024, 2025, and beyond. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you all are doing well. Link to the Patreon in the description for more shit. And subscribe, I guess? I don't know. Or don't. Unsubscribe. Love you guys. See you next time. It's your man Cozy. Peace out.